Hello, crew. Hello, squad. It is the 29th of October, 2023. Welcome to another Ghost and Clover podcast powered by our good friends over at EAA, European American Armory, and we'll talk about them at nauseum here a little bit later on. We are respectively proud members of Self Defense Radio Network as well as Firearms Radio Network. I want to say thanks to those that support both our channel. And as soon as I bring Ghost in here, we'll probably talk about that just a little bit. Maybe I know I released some info earlier along those lines. And you have walked into a show, if you're new here anyway, where even we don't know the topics, which sometimes can be interesting to say the least, but it can be very, very fun with the last topic of the night because that gets selected by a maybe lucky anyway, viewer out there. So make sure that you're chiming in, you're saying, hey, in that live chat, and that's going to give you the opportunity to pick the final topic of the evening. That, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Taurus. And remember to, if you're in the replay world out there, well, you can still participate down in the comments below. So with that out of the way, what's up, man?
What up, yo? How are you?
I'm here. Wet, cold, and nasty, and
it's going to get down to about 34 tonight. And then the next 3 nights will be in the 20s, 26, 27. So I guess we just had like a few days of fall and we're going back into winter now, I guess. I mean, that was a short fall.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So like an all or nothing thing, weird. I guess.
Yeah. That's about right.
I don't know. Yeah. No, I mean, I know we had a conversation. I don't know, where you want to go with it, but sure. Normally we kick this off and we're like, yeah, thanks to, the YouTube channel members and the Patreon patrons. And it's like, well, that's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah, I sent out an email message to all of my Patreon supporters last night and basically just telling them there's been some weird things with Patreon already going on in the last year. But let's be honest, I do appreciate everyone that supports over on Patreon. But for me, it's I don't get any engagement. I don't get very much activity over there. And I think the reason why, well, there's probably a lot of reasons why, but the main reason why is most people are over on YouTube. And so I just made the decision. I know you made a similar decision and you probably have different reasons. You can go into yours. My biggest reason is just to streamline anyone that wants to support our channel and our projects and all of that. And instead of having a separate platform to go do that, I decided that in the next, I think November 6th is the day that I said that I will quit posting anything over on Patreon and basically said, if you want to continue to support our projects and all of that, then I gave them a link and you can join our YouTube memberships. If that's something that they're going to be similar, if not the same, tiers and all of that with some different perks for the different tiers and all that. But basically what we've decided to do over here is to just get away from Patreon and just run everything through the YouTube memberships and all of that, because that way people don't have to change platforms and all of that. It's a lot easier. And I think by now a lot of people, especially my viewers, are very aware and use my community tab a lot, because we utilize our community tab almost every day. And so now it's just one of those things where they can just kind of go there, and members only going to get the same sneak peeks. We'll be doing some like monthly chats. Even if you want to go into that the highest tier, I've thrown in one that we can do a video collab, however you want to do it. But if you want me to record something, a video or something, and then I can give that to that person and they can utilize it in a video collab or whatever. I can do a shout out on a video, whatever they want to do. There's different tiers and all that. But yeah, I've decided to steer away from the Patreon side of things and pretty much stick with YouTube memberships. And I know that you've done something similar, and I'm sure you have your own reasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely echo some of the reasons that you're talking about there for sure. And folks have to keep in mind that the YouTube membership system has severely outpaced Patreon as far as
Hmm.
capable of doing, especially on platform. And there's little to no integration. Will there be some easier integration between the two one day? Maybe, but there's got to be such a gap there that yeah, I get what you're coming from. I mean, it's difficult to devote the kind of time you need to two different ones. It's definitely a split focus, and it's lowering what you're available to offer for those that are looking for engagement. Um, for myself, clovertac.com/support. I did set up a page on the website for all those that are patrons. Obviously, in the next week or so, you're not. It's all going to be gone. So, if you do want to continue to support, or maybe there's people out there that are looking to, throw some support. There's a bunch of ways to do that, from shopping affiliate links to swag stores to straight up, Cash App and Venmo, to, as Ghost talked about, the YouTube channel members. And I've made that very easy through clovertech.com/support to go look at all those options. And I don't just have those options linked, but I have an explanation of what those options entail, right? Like the channel
Hmm.
gets so and so, it cost us X%, right, for this, or it doesn't cost
Hmm.
us anything, or whatever. And you can make the decision not only that's right for you, but right for the type of support that you want to do. Like if you wanted straight up nobody to take any percentage out of what you're supporting with, that would primarily be a Cash App or a Venmo thing, right? If you wanted
Yeah.
a recurring uh, support, well, that would be like a PayPal thing, so forth and so on. And it lays it all out on that page. Um,
Mm.
Real quick, my primary reason is much, much different. And we talked about this privately, and I discussed this in a video with the patrons, and I've also addressed with the channel members on this. But um, PayPal was basically stealing money from me. I don't know how else to put it. They can't explain it, but I'm paying for
Or
channels that
or
have
or
been.
won't explain it.
They won't explain it, yeah. But I'm literally paying for channels that were banned from the platform, and there's some channels that we know and love that were banned from and I'm still paying for those. It's still coming out every month, and unfortunately, that side of things where I support other creators is tied directly to my creator thing, and if I'm going to axe it, I got to axe the whole thing. But it's to the tune of 10, $15 a month, and I'm sitting there thinking, that's $10 or $15 a month. There's also other fees and other percentages coming out that I never agreed to. That's not in the contract that with when I originally signed up. And I'm thinking I can devote that. If I'm going to support other creators, like I've got this money that's being basically stolen from me, or stolen from the people that support me, would be a more accurate way to put it in some way, shape, form, and fashion. But either way, I've got this money that is being lost. It's leaking out of the bucket. And like, I could use
Mhm.
that to, kick over to other creators. There's other creators that I want to support. So for me, it just made sense. We live in the world, as I said, with all the different options there that you have to throw support at a creator. That's one that I'm just tired of. Quite honestly, it had a good run. And as Ghost said earlier, I'll echo that. Thanks to everybody who was over there and a patron for so long, almost since Patreon's been in existence. Some of you, hopefully, we see you on the support side in some other ways. But if we don't, it's been a great run, and we definitely appreciate it. Um,
Our buddy
yeah.
Chase out there says Clover will be providing paid shout outs and personal messages to his throngs of fans on Cameo.
Mhm.
Please make sure to do select the ultimate package. Absolutely.
Only fudge, baby.
Only FUDs,
Uh,
baby.
but yeah, with that, we can get into you're up for first topic. So,
I am. So we had a discussion Tuesday night, which is a great discussion over in the Armed Citizen podcast, and you weren't able to make it. So I wanted to kind of bring yours. We were talking about bug out bags or go bags or get home bags and all of that. Uh, we're going
uh,
to talk. We're going to get your thoughts on go bags, bug out bags, whatever. So the first question I have for you is, when you hear the word bug out bag or go bag or whatever, what first comes to mind?
Well, I intentionally missed so I didn't have to talk about this subject. So first of all, thank you
Well,
for
then,
bringing it up. I
yes, I
appreciate
am glad to do this to you. Then put you on the spot.
when I hear bug out bag, I think of something that you have at the ready that contains some necessities for you to be able to get to a point where there are other necessities and supplies available. I guess.
Yeah, and for me, I call it a get home bag,
Mm,
because like I explained in the podcast on Tuesday, I'm not trying to get somewhere else. I'm trying to get home, because where I live and how everything is surrounded and set up around me, we're going to bunker down here if that Red Dawn SHTF uh, scenario happens. So my bag is a get home bag. Now, whether it's a get home bag or a bug out bag, or a go bag or whatever, when you think of that, and you, like you said, those essentials, what are some of those essentials that you either have? First of all, let me ask you this: do you have a go bag?
yeah, my stuff is, I here's what I consider a go bag, and it's been this way for years.
Yeah.
I have a tiered range bag system
Okay.
because a lot of the things that you would need in that situation, honestly, there are occasions where you need them in everyday life,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's emergency situations, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I have a tiered system, and what I mean by that is you have a big bag, you have a smaller bag, you have even smaller bag, and then you have like a personal size type thing.
Sure. Yep.
And so you can always start out with a larger bag, and as you go, shed weight and just shed stuff along the way. You could shuffle through any of that stuff and throw any combination of things into a smaller bag. Um,
Yeah.
you've got some modular flexibility with it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
A
Yeah.
lot of people, and I like that idea better because a lot of people they go, oh well, this is all I need. Well, that's all I need for the situations you're thinking. Yeah, but if you
Yeah.
start thinking about all these different multiple situations and always being ready and being prepared, you're going to need more stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
being able to, a lot of people could, maybe you need a bigger bag, maybe you need a smaller bag, maybe you need, you never know. And so it
Yeah.
allows me to be able to customize that or just grab X size bag or whatever,
Sure.
and go. I mean, with the default contents or whatever that might be.
Yeah, I keep three different bags ready, and either in the vehicle or whatever, and I've got multiple in different vehicles, and the one at the house. They're all basically the same, not exactly, but they're basically the same. The first bag that I have is a medical bag, and it has a first aid kit, it has trauma kits, it has anything that if I'm driving down the road and I see a car accident or something, anything that I could possibly need or use to help an individual until EMTs get there or whatever, be a first responder. So I've got a medical bag, and it's a smaller bag. Then a second bag is what I call my get home bag, and what I've got is I've got certain things in there that will allow me to basically go for 24. And I could probably stretch it to 48 hours, but it's a 24-hour go bag. It's to get me home. It's got the essentials that I'll need basically for 24, maybe 36, 48 hours at the most. And then I've got a survival bag, and that's something that'll get me 3 days to 4 days. That's 72 to 96 hours, because if I need more than that, then most of the stuff that's in that survival bag, and we're talking tarps, we're talking, different things that will help you survive out in the outdoors. If I need to go past that 4 days, that 96 hours, well, all the stuff that's in that survival bag will allow me to continue to survive. Because after that, whatever is in that bag, basically the only thing I need for that would be water and food, right? And if you know anything about survival skills, the best thing you can do is try to find a high point that's got a water source of some sort near it. And that's where you want to bunker down. So if you can find a water source, That's great because you need water before you'll need food. You can go a lot longer without food than you can go without water. So as long as you can find a water source and you can go hunt or you can go scavenge food. But so my bags are three. Mine are medical, a 24 to 48 hours, and then a 72 to 96 hour, and extended upon the supplies that I have inside that survival bag.
Well, at water source, I agree with you on the water source, and water source can also be food.
It could be,
You know,
sure. Yeah.
potentially, you know, you got frogs. Potentially, you've got, obviously you got fish, and it may be small perch, but you've
Mhm.
got fish nonetheless. I
Yep.
mean, you know, the
Absolutely.
small perch is better than
But
nothing.
if you can only find yourself a small creek, that may have a little bit, at least you'll have water and you can go find something to hunt if you need to,
Right? Yeah.
if there's no fish in that water source.
Um, you know, a little bit of food and a little bit of water, but
Mhm.
you know, is a must for me. And I
Yep.
say a little bit because I agree with you. You know, I don't do, at least in a smaller, more immediate, like necessity um, context.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, you're talking like one bottle of water. Well, that can be handy even in like the med kit or something like that.
Absolutely.
Same way works with a protein bar or something along that lines, or a couple
Granola
of
bar.
them.
Yep.
Could still be great, you know, in the sense of like a med kit and things like that. So you're serving those multiple purposes, right?
Yep.
And that also allows potential easier rotation of things like that as well. Um,
Yep.
one thing that I recommend is a change of clothes for many situations. Uh, Even many situations, even before you get to, you know, a world-ending scenario, bugging out, getting home type scenario.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't think about that until you're in that situation and you're absolutely miserable. So socks, without a doubt, underwear, pants,
Yep.
shirt, and then some type of layer, a hoodie or a jacket.
Yep.
Um,
I'd
you
keep
know,
socks and a hoodie. I don't necessarily. I'm not going to take a full change of clothes, but in my vehicle, I've got two or three pairs of wool socks,
mhm.
and I've got a hoodie that I don't very rarely wear. So I put a hoodie that I'm not going to wear all the time, um, that I just forgot about, and there it is. So yeah,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question because this is
Yeah.
the one thing that a lot of people forget about when they start talking about survival or go bags or whatever. And I mentioned this in the podcast, but a lot of people tend to forget. Now, I'm not talking like aspirin, ibuprofen, all Aleve, all of that stuff. I'm talking when I talk drugs, I'm talking prescription drugs. A lot of people are on prescription drugs, whether it's
Mhm.
cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, anything and everything that you might be doing. Most people don't think about if I have to bug out. Those are just as important as anything else because those medications are what are going to help keep you healthy and alive and at your peak. So what I
Right.
tell people all the time
Right.
is make sure that you've got at least a few days, maybe a
No, I
week's
would say
worth.
a week's. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Pill
Yeah.
caddies that are a week's, you can get a week's, and I guess if you're
Yeah.
taking a handful a day, maybe not. But if you're taking 3 or 4 pills or something like that a day, and even
Hmm.
vitamins, I would say whatever your regular routine and regimen is, because if you're taking a pretty heavy vitamin regimen a day, and then you get into a situation where you're not taking those, and your body reacts
Yep.
to that, what you're saying, you're not going to be at your peak. Your body's going to be going through some type of withdrawal because of that, right? So whatever
Absolutely.
your regular regimen is, again, if it's not very much, a week's worth of pill caddies or whatever, you know, the little seven
Yeah.
compartments are tiny. They don't take up any room.
Hmm.
That's easily could be, you could carry that around in a cargo pant pocket or something easily.
Absolutely. You could. Yep.
Um, yeah, definitely. Uh, Without a doubt need to be having that stuff. And again, just keep it rotated. I mean, every a month or so goes by. Um, take the pill caddy you got in the house, put it in the bag, and take that one out and start, you know, taking those every day, you know, or whatever. So you keep that stuff
Absolutely.
rotated. But I'm a big believer in keeping some over the counter stuff as well.
Oh yeah. Got to.
Again, just for day-to-day purposes. I mean, how many times have we been at an event or on the range and you say, "Man, I got a headache. I wish," and I'm like, "Here you go." you know,
Yep. Hey, my
um,
knees are killing me. You got any
yeah,
Aleve or aspirin or anything?
yeah.
That
Here's a
happens a
couple of
lot.
Aleve, right? Having some things like that, right? So,
Yeah.
um, having some things like that around. Benadryl is a
Yeah. It's a big
fantastic one to
one.
have around because, yeah, it's not as good as an EpiPen, but if you get into a
It can,
situation
yep.
to where you
It
don't
can
have an
get you to that
EpiPen,
EpiPen. Yeah, it
or
can get you to it.
or you run across somebody else that doesn't have an EpiPen or whatever the case may
Yep.
be, at least you've got something. I mean, that's is that going to necessarily keep that person from dying of shock or yourself? Not
Hmm.
necessarily, but you've got a lot better chance if you pop a few Benadryl than you would otherwise.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to touch on that you brought up, different things, and I would say a neosporin or some kind of antibiotic ointment, especially if you're going to be out in the outdoors, in the woods or whatever during this scenario, whatever it is. You're gonna have to have something because you're inevitably going to get cut up, scraped up. Something's going to happen. Messing with twigs and wood and all that, you're going to get cuts and scrapes. Having some ointment to cut down on infection is key. Now, you brought up water earlier, and as much as I agree, you have to have water. I want to tell everybody this, and this is just from my training and my experiences, and everyone might have their own different thoughts and opinions on this. But for me, obviously, you want to have some water, but understand water is extremely heavy. Bottles of water, I think a
Yep.
gallon weighs like 8 pounds.
Yep.
Having a couple bottles is great because you can utilize those bottles in different ways. Once that water's gone, you can refill those waters with the water source. That's why finding some sort of a water source is crucial. Now, with that water source, you need to be able to figure out whether it's heating it up or using a life straw or
Yep.
some kind of tablets that are going to maybe make that drinkable water. There are different ways you can do that. But having a water source allows you not to have to weigh yourself down, because I think they say that every ounce that is on your back equivalates to 1 pound of pressure on your back. And if you're going to load down with 10 bottles of water, well, that's just a lot of extra weight that you don't need to weigh yourself down with. Obviously, have 2 or 3 bottles or whatever. You maybe even say 2 bottles for every person that is within your party, and then you can go from there. But don't think that you've got to carry a case of water, because if you can find a water source, that's going to alleviate a lot of pressure on your body in that stressful situation.
No, I agree, and that's why I said just a couple of bottles max
Yeah,
for like immediate need type thing.
sure.
Um, and then from there, I agree with you. Have some type of water filtration system of some sort. And I mean, in worst comes to worst, I mean, let's be honest. If we're talking about like some of the creeks here, I would
Yeah.
100% drink straight out of the creek. I
Oh,
mean,
same here. Yeah.
you're running over gravel and rock and natural stuff that, especially if you can catch it coming off of a little waterfall or something like that. It's not, it's not pooled up. It's not stagnant. It's moving. It's filtering through rocks and sand and other things. Um, and it's not going to hurt you, you know, at all.
Absolutely.
Now I wouldn't
Absolutely.
drink out of a stagnated cattle pond,
Nope.
not without some kind of heavy filtration system.
Yeah.
Maybe in the absolute worst of circumstances, but in that situation, I think I'd try to find another water source before I probably attempted that. Odds are that cattle pond or something is being fed, or your own land, that there's probably some other water source nearby.
Yeah. Remember, and this is not all the time, ponds are a different animal, right? Depends on if they're man made or if they're natural or whatever. But remember this: streams lead to creeks, creeks lead to rivers. Okay. Rivers lead to bigger bodies of water. So if you can find yourself a stream, okay, and this is something in survival skills that people say, well, I don't know which way to go. It's real simple, guys. If you can find a stream, even if it's a dried up stream, right, chances are it's going to flow downhill. If you can't tell which way is downhill and all that, even if there's a little bit of water, follow the flow of the water. That little stream will take you to a larger creek typically. At that point, you might be able to find more water at that creek. If that creek still is not flowing a whole lot and you can't get enough water, follow the flow or go downhill, and you'll be able to find a river at some point. Now, is it going to take you a while? Possibly, yes. But in that scenario, you're going to be looking throughout that whole time, looking for different water sources and all that. But just remember that there's a big rule: streams lead to creeks, creeks lead to rivers, and that will always help you when you're trying to find a water source. Now, ponds, it all depends, man. Whether it's a man-made pond or if it's a natural pond, if it's a spring fed, absolutely. There's all sorts of different things to know about ponds, but do your homework on water sources. That was a really fun one. We want to say thank you again to EAA, European American Armory, for sponsoring and powering this podcast. Before we talk about EAA, guys, we do want to remind you that if you are out there in the live chat, go ahead and say something. You don't have to comment on this chat. You can just say hello or hey, or you guys are terrible, or the Rangers got killed last night. Whatever it is, say something, because what that does is the third segment of this podcast is a viewer picked randomly topic. So you're automatically eligible to be chosen if you say something or anything in the live chat. If you're watching this in replay or listening to this in podcast form, well, thank you so much. But man, start catching us live. This is where all the fun conversation happens, in the live chat. And you could also be entered to pick that topic. If you have a crazy topic, come to the live chat and help us. EAA, yeah, man, we been a big year for EAA, and you and I are privy to know some of the things that are coming down the line at EAA, which are going to be very, very exciting. Let's talk a little about EAA, bro.
Yeah, I'm still playing around, mostly I think with the Gerson High Power, man, it's a mouthful, MCP35 PILW Ops, which is of course the lightweight.
Yes.
Half pound lighter than any of the same framed versions that are steel. And got the 2311. I haven't spent nearly enough time with the 2311 as I had hoped so far, unfortunately. But a lot of that, and the 2311s, of course, we ended up getting came optics ready with optics.
Yes.
And I was kind of holding off because I wanted to, because I'm just bougie like that, I guess, or whatever. Not really, but I wanted to double dip. I wanted to. I haven't had opportunity to play around with some stuff from Gideon Optics, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna get too crazy with it until that stuff comes in, and I switched that over, and I don't even remember now. I want to say maybe the Gideon Judge is the one that I had put on that. And so since I've put that on and dialed it in and everything, I have not played around with it. But I will say this: I think we were talking personally about that. Now this is from a rest. This is not offhand or anything, of course. But with that 2311, with that Gideon red dot, no scope or anything crazy. Out 6-inch steel at 50 yards is easy. Like, it's predictable with it. It really is. So a pretty awesome handgun. The 2311s are. I'm eagerly awaiting the thank you ATF and Department of State, but eagerly awaiting, and I know a lot of other people are too, some other models, longer barrels and other things,
other calibers.
That's one thing about the Gerson EAA Witness 2311s is you've got a choice of multiple barrel lengths, and you've also got a choice when they're all finally in the production, or not the production pipeline, but when they finally all start coming into the country, thanks to the Department of State and the ATF. You're not only going to have a variety of lengths available, barrel length options, but you're also going to have a variety of calibers, 9mm, 45, and 10mm or I guess it'd be 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 45. But you get what I'm
If you
saying.
want to go in order, sure. Yeah.
So not just 9 millimeter, which is what a lot of the other companies that have that 2011 platforms they're a one trick pony, and EAA is not. They've looked at it and said, hey, different people like different things. Some people hate 9 millimeter, rightfully so. Some people love 10 millimeter, rightfully so. And some people are just old crusty geezers that need the 45 AARP. So they're kind of covering everybody on that with their 2311s.
Yeah, our buddy Chase out there, obviously with EAA. So thanks to Chase for being a good friend, but also for powering this podcast. He said, just getting started. And my friend, we know you are. And like I said, can't say anything, but in the next few months, you guys, wow, what's coming down the line is going to be incredible. Now, Defense Dad says, just ordered a Gerson yesterday. I think he said earlier it's 1911.
Yeah, he texted me yesterday or the day before, and it was a real simple answer to his question. He asked me
Yes.
what I thought about Gerson 1911s, and then he told me the price. It was on sale, some clearance, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, it's just, even if it was junk, I would tell you to buy it at that cost. I like that
Right.
price, like
Right.
So it's like that's a total no brainer. So I hope when it comes in, I hope he's happy with it. Um,
Yep.
I
I
don't
look forward to
know.
maybe some videos with that.
Yeah.
Looking for Defense Dad doing some videos with that
Yeah,
for sure.
no doubt. Obviously, the model he's talking about, I don't have any experience with that particular model other than maybe shooting a few at range days, range events, and
Sure.
things like that. But yeah, he's saying out there it's one of the older Davidson models. So those models are pretty. The distributor specials are pretty doggone nice
Yeah.
handguns typically. So that'll be a good one. Should be a good one.
And he said it's supposed to be here Wednesday, so he'll be definitely doing videos. All right, my man. It is your topic. It is your topic.
So I don't know what our plan is for Tulsa. I know that we're headed to Tulsa, not next weekend, but the following weekend. Largest gun show in the world, every November, every April. Make sure that you put that on your bucket list, because I'm telling you, if you go once, you'll want to go every freaking time. It's pretty awesome. So that being in 2 weeks, I don't know how that's going to affect. We may have to double up Ghost and Clover shows or something at some point in November. But since there likely may not be one between now and then, I wanted to talk about the Tulsa wish list for this go around. Like, what are some things that you're going to have your eye on? You're going to be, we're kind of going to I guess pretty much the first time ever, we're going to actually enjoy the show more than anything, hang out and just enjoy the show. So, but at the corner of your eye, if you run across a certain something and the deal is right, what are some things you're
This is actually going to be my second time going to Winemaker as not being media. I'd gone before. I started doing a YouTube thing once before. So that was years and years ago. That said, I'm actually, it sounds bad, but I'm looking forward not to going as media. And obviously we're going to help some of our friends out there that have booths that may need to tinkle or may want to go do some shopping themselves. But as a matter of fact, EAA will be at Wanamaker this time. But yeah, just going around and being able to do some shopping and all of that. Window shopping, if you will, because there are deals out there, but typically the great deals that I see everyone get are things that I'm not typically interested in. That said, there are some things that I'm looking for, and a couple of them very well may surprise a lot of you out there, including Clover. I'm obviously always looking for an M1 Garand at a decent price. I'm always looking for an SKS at a decent price. Unfortunately, the last probably 4 or 5 years, both of those items are incredibly overpriced, and I don't see them going down anytime, unfortunately. But I'm always looking for one of those. I'm looking handgun wise. I'm looking for. I don't care if it's used or not. I'm looking for a VP9, a good solid VP9. I'm always interested in looking at some FN FO 509s. I love that gun as well. I tell you the one that I'm looking, and we joke about this with Buck out there. And Buck was looking for a nice lever action a few years back, and he found one that he thought was $350, ended up being 35,000. That's one of the funniest things that ever happened. I really am looking forward to maybe finding me a good 357 Magnum lever action. I don't need it to be nice. I've kind of, for some reason, I've kind of got a little itch and a little lever action, which I think would be awesome. I think it surprised a lot of people out there. But I've got several things on my list, things that I'm always looking for. Obviously, you never know what I might find. If I can find some kind of a larger bore, larger caliber AR that's at a decent price. Always fun with those. But yeah, just kind of looking is Ghost is going to be everyone's B team. I don't know what that means, but okay. Yeah, lever action 357 lever would be kind of cool. Yes, I'm not going FUD, but I think that a really cool 357 lever would be kind of something kind of cool to add to the arsenal, if you will. And obviously VP9 509s I'm looking at. Always looking for a Garand, always looking for an SKS. If I can find me a decent looking Model 10 that looks like the one that I had, I might look at that. Defense said there's been a lot of really good deals on VP9s. Like there have been, and the non-optics ready ones. Yeah, there have been. I almost picked one up, and I don't care about being optics ready on a VP9. I wouldn't run an optic on it anyway. So yeah, I did. I just want to wait and kind of see maybe what's at Wanamaker and all that. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I know that you really don't go there with a wish list. At least you have it in years past. You kind of look for deals. And it really doesn't matter what if you had a wish list, what was something that you'd be looking for?
Well, I've always got a wish list, and it's
well,
almost
sure.
always
Usually it's a Marlin thing, isn't it, to complete some sets and
yeah,
all that?
yeah, it is. And I've always got things on a list. Marlins, infields. There's multiple things. But I want to go back. You had said that also if you ran across a Legion or something, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I love and I know that especially the Wanamaker, it's not going to be a good deal. Let's just be honest. There are two guns that I will always look for.
You never know, though.
You never know. That's what I'm saying. I will always look for these two. And it's a SIG. And people know that I'm not a big SIG fan, except for I do love the 226. So I am looking for a SIG P226X Legion. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful gun. That's all I'm looking for. And then obviously I'm looking for a Beretta M9 Marine Corps edition. I've actually never seen one in person, and I always, and Clover has one, and he holds it over my head.
You've never seen mine?
I've never seen it in person. No,
I may have to bring that to Tulsa, man.
I've never seen the Marine Corps version in person. Like have my hands on it, looking at, or never even have my hands on it. I've never seen one in person, like the commemorative Marine Corps.
We'll have to make that happen. We'll have to make.
Yeah,
that happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But those two I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for a 226 Legion. I'm always looking for an M9 Marine version. But once again, I don't ever suspect those. Now, the good thing about that is Wanamaker is a kind of place that you might be able to find the Marine Corps version. And that might be the only gun that I'm willing to pay more than I should to get if I ever do find one in person,
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or if I can find an Army one and trade you,
Yep, and that might be why it might be worth bringing that one. It's just on the off chance you do find an Army.
Yeah.
It'd be a done deal then. So
if you're ever going to find one at a local gun show, Wanamaker is the one that's probably going to be it, right?
Yeah, no, I guarantee you. Yeah. Now as far as mine, one thing that's forever been on the list, and with the Kiger now, I am over the even. I don't even have a wanting for a G19 Gen 3.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Like why, right? Like
Yep.
seriously,
No, I
why?
agree with you.
That
I've got
that
them, but yeah, the Kiger's so
yeah.
much better. It's amazing.
Now if I found, deal aside, if I walk
Deal
across the
aside,
table,
sure.
run across a table up there, and there's a deal, I'm going to pick it up regardless. It's kind of like what you said earlier. But a 26 is still on my list. Uh, uh Gen 3
Yeah.
26.
Yep. You've
Uh,
had the 26 on your list for several years, and I can't
yeah,
remember what movie it was that kind of got you into that
that's
thought
Black
process.
Widow. It's Black Widow with
That's what it
Avengers.
was. That's
Yeah,
what it was. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So no, I'll be honest with you, it's a vanity reason. That's really the only reason.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and but it's got to be the right deal too.
Yep.
Willing to go a little bit better probably on it, but not a whole lot. Not for a Gen 3 Glock. Come on.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but from there, on the infield side, which it isn't really an infield because
Ah.
it's re-arsenaled for the Indian Army, but looking for some Ishapore stuff.
Yep. Sure.
I think
Yep.
I've got my infield collection pretty much honed down. As a matter of fact, I got rid of an infield here. I don't know, a year ago, maybe even longer. Remember, I traded it for that Beretta,
I do remember that.
whatever that Beretta was. I can't even think now. It's all tactical. Um, but
That
anyway,
22 one is pretty cool,
yeah,
though. It is pretty
yeah.
cool.
No, it's awesome. And it was a good trade. It was. I think I come out a little better on that trade, quite honestly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But anyway, um, so I've pared my infield collection, actual infield collection, down a little bit because I think I've pretty much got every model that I want or kind of need for the collection with
Yeah.
that. But I don't have. I've only got as far as Ishapore, I've only got the 410, and I
Mm,
would I would like to find the 308 Ishapore.
nice. Yeah.
So that's on the list. And a distinct possibility, a definite possibility, because there's tons of that stuff at Tulsa. So it's
Mm,
just a matter of matching up condition and price because I gotta have a shooter. I do not want a beater for sure.
yep.
Um, and then from there, the Glock in that one. From there, you get into Marlin. Specifically with Marlin, the 101 Crown Prince, which is different
Mm,
than a 101. I do have a 101. The Crown Prince is a much nicer, sort of upgraded version. You've got a stainless bolt. Um, the cock and handle and all on the rear is much different. The wood is a higher grade. Occasionally, you will find models where the stocks are checkered and they have some inlays and some other things. There's various models of the 101 Crown Prince,
mm,
and I kicked myself because on the lower level one year we were at Tulsa. And I found one, and the price was right. It was definitely fair. I should not have even hesitated on it, but I did. It was one of them things
yeah.
where we were all there and we were doing the media, and I needed to be over there, and it's like and one of two things: either it sold, which I'm pretty sure it sold, um, or I just walked that entire lower floor the next day and could not find it.
Yeah.
But I didn't tag it or flag it or make note or anything of where it was at. I just remembered
Right.
roughly what area it was in on the lower floor or lower level. And I walked that entire lower level 3 or 4 times the next day and
Yeah. It
never
probably
won,
sold.
and never seen it. So I figure it sold.
Yeah.
And like I said, the price was fair on it. From there, I'm always looking for any of the Marlin Model 60s with medallions that I do not have. I've yet to complete any of those collections. I'm close on a couple. And for those that
Yeah.
aren't aware, a lot of the department stores and other things, Otasco, Big Five, there were several, did runs for multiple years, and every year they would have a different medallion in the stock of the Marlin on the Marlin Model 60s. And so, there's a couple of those collections that I like too, having the entire run, um, which make them really. which would be awesome because the collection would be worth considerably more than the individual rifles themselves.
Sure,
Marlin
sure.
Model 60s, even the ones with the medallions, given any more than $200, and that's talking about really, really good shape. 250 for sure is paying way too much.
Yeah,
But if I can complete the collection,
it's worth it.
it's exponentially going to be worth more as an entire
Is
collection
a collection correct?
because
Yeah, yeah,
I've spent decades trying to run these down. You know what I mean? Like building
yeah,
the entire collection is not an easy task, and so you're going to
yeah.
end up paying for that. So as far as the value, it's definitely there. Um, so always on the lookout, obviously for those as well.
Yeah, there's one more gun I forgot that I've been interested in the last few months. Um, and I'm really wanting to maybe find one. And everyone knows how I feel about Walther. I love Walther. But I'm looking for a P99. If I can find me a good P99,
Yeah.
because that is the gun that the Canik TP9 is based off of, or a clone of, if you will. And I think it'd be great to have a P99 to kind of have and obviously shoot it, but kind of see and compare and contrast between that and the Canik. But if I can find and honestly, the P99 might be something I can find. They've been actually going up in prices because of the popularity of the TP9 the last few years. The prices and the values of the P99s have gone up, which is great, but maybe I'll be able to find a deal. So yeah, we're getting ready to draw for the third topic. Like I said, we're going to give you a minute or so before he hits that draw button. Make sure if you haven't said anything in the chat out there, go ahead and say something, because we're getting ready to do a drawing of randomly picking a live member of the audience to give us our third topic. This segment is brought to you by our friends over at Taurus International, Taurus USA, whatever. Taurus, everyone knows Taurus, and we'll talk a little bit about Taurus here in a second.
Yeah. First, let's spin this thing. You've got not much
No whammies.
time to give us a topic. So if your name pops up, make haste and give us a topic. And
George, the trucker, he just said something not too long ago, so maybe he's still out there.
the Georgia
Georgia
trucker, if
truckers
you're out
there.
there, hopefully he's not on the road, but yeah, give him a minute or so here at most. But Georgia trucker, give us a topic in the chat. Um, and yeah, we can start talking about Taurus, I guess, a little bit, kind of while we're waiting on that. Um, did you see the return
I
of a certain
did.
handgun from Taurus?
I did. The 917C, which to me looks like a 92 FS, a little compact 92 FS, possibly even something that they're trying to bring back. But the 917 is back. I saw it a couple, was it maybe Thursday or Friday? I think I saw that's when I saw it. But yeah, the last couple of days, the 917 is back for Taurus in the compact variation. So what do you think about that?
So real quick, Georgia trucker out there says thoughts on Rossi. We're already talking about Taurus. So
Yeah.
is that your topic, or are you going to pick something else for your topic, Georgia trucker? Let's let us know.
Rossi will come up in this
We
as
can
well.
we can table that, and we can specifically talk about Rossi if that's what you want. Otherwise, it's a waste of a topic. Just want to make sure.
And it might be a
Anyway,
waste of topic because I have zero experience with Rossi. So my conversation will be listening to Clover's side of what Rossi is.
kind of limited. Yeah. Sarge out there is saying the 917 should be optic ready. So
I'm a little surprised because I do agree with him, not because I love optics on pistols. That's not the case. But this being a new quote unquote re-release, everything these days are coming, or at least have the option of being optic ready, right? I am very surprised that there's not even an option to get one that's optic ready. I don't know. Little surprised. But then again,
yeah, and with the Toro, everything they've got, this Toro, right?
But let's be honest also, Beretta, the 92 design is not the greatest design for an optic. Let's just be honest. So
Mm, yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, I don't think it looks good with an optic, but that's just me.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put one on there anyways because it just would look. But I love the lines of a 92 design. So
Right. Right. Um, speaking of Taurus and something that I seen here not too long ago with them finally after months and months or even years of saying I don't know how long the Rancher carbine has been
yeah,
out, but they come out with the Tactical Cowboy, which is the I don't remember is it a 7.5 inch or 9 inch or something with a rail. And ever since that came out, I'm like, you guys need to put a rail on either the 16-inch revolver so people can convert those to carbines, or
mm, interesting.
um, come out with a Rancher with a rail on it. Um, and they have
Hmm,
finally come out with a Rancher with a rail on it. so,
there you go.
so you can actually put and because I've got it converted. I've got a 16-inch revolver that I bought the stock kit and the frame and everything, the grip frame and the stock kit from Heritage. And that's one of the cool things about the Heritage revolvers is all that stuff interchanges. And so it makes it really simple. And so I
Yeah.
built my own rancher, so to speak. And that's one of the things that ever since I've done that, and I'm like, man, I wish I could put just a little 4 power $10 Tasco or something on this because
Sure. Yeah.
that rear gutter sights, single action revolvers. You guys know what I'm talking about out there. Um, then the rear gutter sights with that big front blade, just on like a carbine rifle playing around is just not. It's not good. I
Mm.
don't know how else to
No,
put
I
it,
hear you.
right? Um, but yeah, talking about the the Taurus, and then obviously you've got all the revolvers and other things. Yeah, George Trucker's got us a topic out there. Cool. Um, the you've got all the revolvers, the big bores, and then you've got the Rossies. So a lot of what you're seeing on the Toro, the optics ready revolver line are Rossies now.
Yeah. And Rossi has some lever action and some shotguns under the line, but yeah, I think the revolvers are kind of what people think of when they think Rossi. At least I do. Now Trucker says he's looking for a budget. So he said if we're going to cover in Rossi, he said, what about Ruger American? And I have a little bit of experience with Ruger Americans, nothing substantial, but I have more experience with Ruger Americans than I do with Rossi's.
Well, we
What
can
about you? Your
table.
experience with what do
Well,
you want to table the Rossi, or what do you want to do?
are we moving on?
I don't know. It's up to you. It makes no difference to me. You can choose whichever one you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I'm really not. I don't know. I'm just not sure what's going on as far as the direction. Georgia Trucker kind of threw us for a loop out there
Well, he
with
says if you're going to cover
with
Rossi, how about the thoughts of the Ruger American, if you have any? Um, Either way, you can either talk about Rossi or we can talk about either one. I have
yeah,
no problem talking about either one of them.
yeah. Um, very two very different things. Let's just say that about Rossi real quick
Mhm.
because with Rossi you've got the lever actions, you've got semi-auto rim fires, you've got the shotguns, and it pretty much ends there. The Ruger American is going to be bolt action, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, we can move on. Say thanks to Taurus for that, and move on and talk about Ruger American because I own several and have owned several.
Mhm.
Um, as far as the budget line of bolt action rifles, I prefer the Ruger American. I prefer it over the Savage. Now, not the higher dollar Savage bolt actions, but when we're talking about that
Mhm.
budget line, so definitely over the Savage Axis. Thompson doesn't make theirs anymore. Whatever that was called, the Compass. I think Thompson.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
they discontinued those, or
I don't
Thompson
know. I don't
sold,
know.
or
I haven't seen them for a while, so they probably did.
something happened, and I can't remember what. But I don't think those are around anymore. And I'm trying to think of another budget. The Mossberg Patriot is sort of in that range, but I think maybe the Mossberg Patriot maybe be a little more expensive.
I think it would be. I would consider that lower than the American.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a fan of the Mossberg Patriot. So out of all of those, my pick is the American line. I like the trigger in the American line. Not the greatest, but again, we're talking a budget line. But definitely manageable. I like the bolt. I like the action. I like the lockup. There's a lot of things that I like. My quote unquote coyote rig, topped with thermal, is a Ruger American in 308 that has had the barrel chopped to 16 inches. Mainly because I shoot subsonics more than anything, and I don't need for subsonics. I don't need the added barrel length. It's silly. So since I'm running suppressed on it as well, save the length. Really, I wasn't shedding that much weight chopping.
Right.
What was that? From 16 to 22, 6 inches off of it. Chopping 6 inches of barrel and adding a suppressor. Obviously, I'm not really necessarily cutting weight. It's more the profile and the length. But even shooting supers through that 16-inch barrel that's been chopped, and it was recrowned, it was done right. In that Ruger American, call it bastardized if you want, if you will, Ruger American. I can still easily get sub MOA at 100 yards out of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I've got a 30-06 in the Ruger American, with a lightweight stock on the Ruger American. The 30-06, it beats on you a little bit. Not gonna lie. And then I've had a 270 as well in the Ruger American, and I've shot various other calibers. The 7.62 for example, the 300 blackouts. The 5.56 is really freaking sweet in the Ruger American. One good thing about the Ruger American, when I got into the Ruger Americans as far as the budget line and all, when they first came out, and haven't paid a whole lot of attention to them personally since. And one of the things that aggravated me way back when, and it's not true anymore, is the aftermarket for those. The aftermarket for the Ruger Americans has absolutely exploded. And one of the biggest things is stocks. Like you can go get a laminate stock from Boyd's now for $99 or probably even less on sale. And have a really nice laminate stock and something like that 30-06.
Boyd's make some awesome stocks that don't just look awesome too. They're great.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, you can really spruce that rifle up. It'll look like a way more expensive rifle than just a Ruger American, if you're into that sort of thing. But as far as rails, availability for rails and things like that for your optics and other things, just so many more. There's so much more options out there for aftermarket on the Ruger Americans now. So that's two thumbs up from me for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't mind the Ruger American. I've shot some standards. I've shot, I think it's called the Ranch, and I've shot a couple of Hunters, which has more of a precision stock on it, if you will, right? More of a chassis system.
Calibers or chambers, stocks, and barrel lengths basically are the only difference across all their variations. They've got the Predator, they've got the Hunter, the Predator, the long range.
Maybe the Predator I shot. Do they have one called the Ranch? Do they have one called the Ranch?
Yeah. They've got the Ranch.
Okay,
the Ranch is the short,
then it's the Ranch. I know I've shot the Standard, the Ranch, and the Hunter. And when you said Predator, like, oh crap, that might have been that. But I think it's the Ranch. If they've got a Ranch, and that's one I shot. And they're all fine. They're all fine. He's saying that he's wanting a few rifles, mostly owned pistols so far. Talking budget stuff. I will say this: I'm not going to talk down upon Ruger American for what they are. Now, what I will tell you, and you brought up a good point about aftermarket parts and accessories, this, that, and the other. I will say this to you, Georgia Trucker, and this is just my personal opinion. For $75, $100 maximum, more, you can get into a pretty decent Remington 700. And we're talking about a rifle that the vast majority of other companies is designed around to where aftermarket is unlimited. I'm not saying the 700 is a better rifle. I like it better than a Ruger American. That said, you're going to spend maybe $75 to $100 more. But if you're willing to spend an extra little bit of money, I think that you should also at least look at a Remington 700 before you make your decision. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree. Unless you're
I'm
looking at
just
an
saying.
older version. Yeah. If you're looking at an older version, maybe. Um, I don't know. Is Rim Arms, which is the new company, I don't know if are they doing anything? I think they
Oh,
brought
I
back
don't
the
know. I wouldn't.
870.
I wouldn't buy anything from
Yeah, I don't know.
Remington that's probably in the last 5 years for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
I wouldn't buy anything in the last probably
I'm
30
just saying.
on a
I'm just
700. But
saying.
yeah.
But a 700 is something that will get you in that ballpark, and we're talking about a lot of it is a lot of rifles are based on at least on the action of the 700, and that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Howa, someone brought up Howa. Howa does have a good line
Mhm.
of decent budget
Yeah.
rifles. I would definitely say that if you can find a Howa or a Tika that's got a budget line, or maybe even a used Tika or a used Howa that you can get for the same price as a new Ruger American, jump on a Howa, Tika, or Bergara. Either one of those three that it might be used in the used market will be very superior to that Ruger American, and you might be able to find some for a decent price in the used market. Just saying.
Well, and there's definitely, I'm glad you brought that up. There's definitely something to be said about the used market and bolt rifles that
Yes.
typically bolt rifles in the used market, handguns can be flat worn out.
Yeah.
22s can be flat worn out. Typically, centerfire bolt guns, um, I mean, somebody got them because they thought they needed it for hunting, or they thought they were going to try hunting, or they whatever, and a lot of times they haven't been shot much. I mean, I see, right, and I have actually sold a few myself
Yeah.
personally, bolt guns that may have had 3 or 4 boxes through of shells, and like that was it, like
Yeah.
less than 100 rounds. And I see that pretty regularly with bolt guns. And I mean, at that point, you're not
Unless you're
even,
shooting competition and you're putting a
dude.
bunch of rounds through that for ballistic testing and all that, the average bolt action rifle does not get used very much. It gets used
Yeah,
for a couple of months a year, you know?
yeah, not even enough, honestly, to break in the barrel. Quite
Mm-mm,
honestly,
mm-mm.
you know.
Yeah, I would definitely say nothing wrong with a Ruger American. If that's what you want, I don't think you're going to find people that will shame you for getting that. I think if you're willing to spend an extra $100 more than a Ruger American, you can find a Tika, Bergara, Howa used for maybe a little bit more money, but not a lot, but a little bit more, that will take you a lot longer and be a much better option for you for
Yeah.
sure. But I'm
Well,
not going to say anything bad about Ruger American. I think they're fine rifles for what they are.
and he said budget. So
He did.
when he's saying budget, I'm like, I don't like
Under,
to
is it
go
like me
with.
under 1,000, under 800? I mean, everyone's budget's
Well,
different, you know.
what I was thinking is when he said budget is I don't want to say if you spend a little more, if you spend a little more, because he was talking about budget already. So what I'll say
Yeah.
is in the used market, since Ghost has already covered that end of the spectrum, I'll say in the used market, um, look at, because I mentioned the Thompson Compass. The Thompson Compass is a
Mhm.
great rifle.
Yeah.
The thing is they don't make it anymore, as far as I know. And so you're going to have to get it in the used market. So you might could pick up. I've seen them in previous years on Black Friday sales for 250. So it's very possible you can find those for a couple $100 in the used market, and a Thompson Compass for a couple $100 is a solid purchase.
Yeah.
Period.
Sure. Sure. If you can find yourself, I forgot to add one to that list. If you can look for a used market, don't be afraid to look at the Savage Stealth as well. The Savage Stealth series is pretty solid rifle as well.
Well, any of the Savage, the 110,
Any
the
of the
110,
Savage
the
110, the
110, the
110,
10, yeah, the
yeah,
10 110 series,
they're all
uh,
good.
pretty salty. So even the 111s, pretty salty action, pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
They
Marcus
would
out
they
there
would
says,
put up.
don't sleep on the CZ bolt actions. In 7.62 by 39. His son's got one and loves it.
They're nice. if you're going to go that
Yeah.
caliber. Yeah.
If you're going to go that caliber, then yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely and thanks Georgia Trucker for that topic. I hope we helped you. We probably confused the hell out of you more than helped you. But the answer to your question on Ruger American is they are fine rifles for what they are. As you're doing your research, we were just trying to give you some different options. Maybe you can find on the used market that might be the same price, or maybe just a little bit more that might give you better options than that Ruger American. But if you have your mind and heart set on a Ruger American, then by God, brother, go buy what you want and just enjoy shooting it.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to go wrong. So for me, the answer is yes.
You know? Yep, I would say yes as well.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Georgia Trucker. And again, thanks to Taurus for the viewer topic submitted section of the evening.
Yes. Halloween's coming up. Tuesday, I know that we both have things planned. Obviously, the Armed Citizen podcast will have its Halloween edition Tuesday at 7 Central, followed by a possible surprise special edition from Clover.
I don't know that it'll be a surprise, but every year, as folks know, there's two things that we have. Well, there's things that we have done on the regular. We talked about at the top of the show. Rewind if you want to hear that, by the way, if you came in later or whatever. But we talked about the situation with Patreon. And years ago, we started the lawn chair pops. Those have kind of subsided as Patreon and membership and stuff has dwindled. But two things that were born out of the lawn chair pops was reading Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart on Halloween.
Yep.
And How the Grinch Stole Christmas on Christmas, or at least
That's
Christmas
correct.
Eve. And I don't want to sleep, I don't think, on those two things. I'm not prepared to go through and bring back the whole lawn chair pop thing. And I just, again, the sport, the engagement, maybe one day it gets to that point again, back to pre-cough levels. And it's worthwhile. It's worth the effort. But I think we're going to do the readings Halloween night. So if you're interested in hearing a spooky story, because it's definitely a freaky, spooky story, come join us as we read Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart. What, 1863? I think is when he wrote that, or something.
Oh, don't get me lying. I can Google through it real quick.
Yeah, I've done it for so many years now. I think that's it. That's numbers in my head for some reason, but I could be wrong.
First published in 1843.
1843. Okay, I was 20 years off.
It says first published in 1843.
Yeah. So there you go. That dude was he had a messed up mind. Is all I can say.
Yeah, but you know what? It sounds weird, but some of the greatest and the most creative people are borderline schizophrenic.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between genius and crazy, and I think he definitely skirted that line more than most.
Yeah.
But you had several writings of his that were just unbelievable. Telltale Heart, The Raven, all just phenomenal writer. Unfortunately, he is depicted as a weird dude, so a lot of people don't like talking about him or bringing him up when it talks to, especially great American writers, right? Now, Mandatory Curious, he crossed the line. We know that, buddy.
Right.
He crossed that. He said in a tank. This is true. You destroyed that line.
Yeah.
But no, he's a great writer, and I personally enjoy the Telltale Heart. I'm a big Edgar Allan Poe fan, so I enjoy that lawn chair pop. And obviously, who doesn't like a Grinch Stole Christmas? So another great Dr. Seuss, another crazy person, was a great writer.
That's true.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that Tuesday night. So that might be following our podcast Tuesday night. Happy Halloween, everybody. We've got a couple cool items. I got a couple things in this weekend. I got a couple more things coming this week. I put a compilation video out earlier this evening of all the cool kind of toys that we got to mess around with on the range this month. And I've had a couple of people saying, I mean, it'd be nice to see all of these different guns all in one video. So I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. So maybe every month or every couple months, whenever I get 4 or 5 or 6 of them at a time, I'll be doing a compilation to kind of see, you can see all the guns. So if you want to see the October Boogaloo Bunch video, then it's out there now, and kind of gives you all the stuff that we played with. Got a lot of stuff coming in November we'll be playing with, so looking forward to that. And guess what, buddy? It's damn near shot time. You know, once we start getting to November, we start, at least I do, I start kind of getting into shot mode, especially once Wanamaker's done, then I'm definitely mentally in shot mode, you know?
Yep. No, 100%.
Yep. What else you got? You got any podcasts coming up this week?
Yeah, European American Armory and Sput Targets.
I'm sorry?
Sput Targets. So,
okay, I'm glad you said that slowly.
S-P-U-T. Sound like slut targets, huh?
Yeah,
that's
sure.
That's a racy target. A slut target.
It
What?
is.
What is a slut target? We might have to have that conversation on the podcast, as a matter of fact. No, Sput, like Sputnik or whatever, like Sput.
Sure.
And there's a video on the channel. They're basically a reactionary target with chalk inside of them. So
yes,
pretty fun. So that's it, man.
Pretty cool. Once again, thank you to everybody for supporting us, whether it's through Patreon, through YouTube memberships, through swag, through our affiliate links, Amazon, buying stuff on our website. More importantly, just watching our videos, showing up to the live stream, sharing them, and just being a part of the conversation with us. That's really what we do appreciate the most. If you get a chance, we want you to support our sponsors as well with EAA, European American Armory, and Taurus. If nothing else, if you don't feel like buying any of their products, that's okay. You can support them through us by just going to their social media and finding any random post and just leave a comment. Hey, thanks for supporting Ghost and Clover for their podcast. That does mean a lot. We shall see you in maybe 2 weeks. I'm not sure, like Clover said, really not sure what we're going to do with Wanamaker. We'll be traveling back from Wanamaker. We'll figure it out. We'll double up somewhere.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say also, if you did not show up early, both Clover and I made an announcement when it comes to Patreon. So if you support either one of us or both, or either one of us on Patreon, go check that feed on both of ours, because I've sent a message and he's put a video out, and it'll kind of explain where we're doing from moving forward in the future with Patreon. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you going to say?
No, you're fine. I was just going to tell everybody I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, and dear God, this parachute is a knapsack.